Heyo, Relden here, and we are going to continue our series of Let's Learn Hearthstone Arena with the Warlock. Now, Warlock is a bit of an interesting class. His hero power is not quite like the other hero powers in that it doesn't really impact the board. It doesn't do damage to your opponent. It doesn't do anything to minions. It doesn't give your hero the ability to attack. It's purely just about trading your own life and mana for card advantage. So really, it winds up being a power that gears you towards wanting to pick up cards that heal you and pick up cards that tend to be a little bit less expensive than other cards. And the real reason behind the whole picking up cards that are less expensive is because you really don't want to be sitting there drawing extra cards and then not being able to play them. So if you're planning on actually making use of his ability, and you probably should, because if you're playing a Warlock or any hero, you need to really understand how to make efficient use out of their hero power, then you want to kind of just keep that in the back of your mind. You're not going to want to have lots of like 6 and 7 cost guys where, you early in the game, you blow 2 mana, you blow 2 life, and you draw a card that basically does absolutely nothing for you. I mean, most of the other hero abilities, the real benefit of them is you know exactly what is going to happen when you use the ability. If you're a mage, you know exactly what that point of damage is going to do. I mean, you're guaranteed at what the result is going to be. The Warlock, it's open-ended. It's the only one that is completely open-ended because you may or may not draw something useful. In terms of the card selection, the Warlock's main theme is cards that are cheaper than they would be for another class, but they cost you something. So basically, you get a mana discount on a card, but there's some sort of expense that you have to somehow deal with. Doomguard's a good example of this. We're going to take him because he in spite of the expense, a 5/7 charge is still ridiculously good for 5 mana. But a lot of times what you're really looking to do is figure out a way to get around basically you're trying to cheat the system. Like, if I can somehow play out my entire hand such that I don't have any cards left to discard, then I play the Doomguard and I don't discard any cards. I've gotten full use out of my hand and gotten this character on like a substantial discount. So a lot of the times these Warlock cards will have kind of an out. They'll have a way that you can play them where if you do everything right, you end up just getting an incredibly efficient card, and it ends up not costing you anything extra. So let's take a look here. 3 pretty good choices. One thing, again, these are great for the whole cheap character shtick. I mean, that's really, really nice. This one's almost a hard choice. I mean, I really like the Scarlet Crusader. Again, the Divine Shield's really good. Raid Leader, I mean, he can really pull some things off. Tide Hunter, just generically good. I mean, two critters for 2 mana, almost never a bad thing. Very susceptible to AE attacks, though. Let's go with the Raid Leader this game because he'll just give a little bit more beef to anything else I draft. Okay, now this is an interesting decision. I'm not really looking at the River Crocolus. I could really care less about a 2/3. I've got nothing that's going to go off of beasts. Mortal Coil is pretty good. I mean, it's basically, there are a lot of 1 health characters in the game, or situations where you just need to do that 1 extra point of damage, and this spell becomes very, very cheap removal. Also, if you end up with, there's little combos and stuff, like if you get an Acolyte of Pain, you could potentially knock him down to 1 life and then Mortal Coil him yourself, and then you end up drawing 2 cards, 1 for the damage and 1 for the Mortal Coil killing him. Lots of little nice things. Summoning Portal, though, this can be pretty effective. I mean, one of the things is that like later on, it can really speed up your ability to get some of your more expensive guys out. And it paints a huge target on itself. It says your opponent basically is like, I need to kill that thing, because it doesn't really have a drawback. Its drawback is that it's 4 mana and it's a 0/4. But I mean, aside from that, while it's sitting on the table, it's pretty much just being awesome. Okay, so these are some very, very good cards. I really like Drain Life. I almost can never say no to Acolyte of Pain, though. I mean, the simple fact that it is always going... I mean, it might kill something. It probably is going to force your opponent to have to do some resource to get rid of, and it usually ends up netting you a card or so. So I think we're going to go with that. I love the Priestess of Elune, and I would probably take her over most other cards, but I mean, this is a pretty good selection here. Okay. Again, not doing Murlocs. Don't like theme decks. We could actually kind of squeeze in with this whole theme of, giving minions +1/+1. That's not a bad thing. I do have the Summoning Portal that does give me a little bit more opportunity to play more expensive stuff. But again, I'm not a huge fan of picking up cards that are this expensive. So we're going to go with Lord of the Arena because he's just solid. Okay. Flame Imp, another one of those demons that has that drawback. In this case, you're getting a 3/2 for 1, but you take 2 damage for it. I mean, I like it, kind of. I mean, you have to remember, though, that with a Warlock, 2 life is... Later in the game, 2 life is like a card. So, I mean, you're unlike some of the other cards, you're basically just saving 1 mana on this guy. I mean, a 3/2 character would normally be a 2-cost character. So he's not... I mean, he's efficient, but he's efficient only if you're playing a tuned deck where the tempo actually matters. And draft decks, usually, you're just not going to consistently get that. So we're going to go with Mortal Coil because I could use some removal. Okay, I mean, this is... Now here's where getting into stuff that I really like. I'm going to take the Berserker, and a note, this is one of those things where you potentially can, like Mortal Coil, I mean, plink something for a damage, and then, he turns into a 5 attack. I mean, that you have little combos and stuff that you can work out within your cards. I love the Bloodsail Raider, but the Warlock does not have any weapons, so her bone... I mean, she guaranteed is going to be a 2/3 nothing character. Sacrificial Pact, I mean, destroy a demon. It would be so great if there were more demons that were neutral in this game, but almost every demon in the game is a Warlock demon, so you're probably going to have to blow up one of your own guys, and then 2 for 5 health, and you kill your own guy. Usually not the greatest of deals. So, I mean, with that in mind, I think we're just going to go with the Bluegill Warrior because of just a lack of me thinking that there's anything better here. Okay, Fen Creeper, 3/6 taunt, pretty solid. Okay, now we're getting somewhere. Twilight Drake, very, very, very good. Very good. Especially in a Warlock deck. And that's because you can take some... I mean, you could basically pump your hand size up faster than any other class, basically, and have him pop out on turn 4 as maybe like an 8/8 or a 9/9, and that gets pretty ridiculous. It's definitely something where your opponent better have an answer for that, like right now. In terms of this, again, I feel like we're skewing a little bit on the high side. I wish I wish I had some more cheap characters in this, but it's hard to really say no to the Dread Infernal. A damage to all the other characters works really well. I mean, again, all characters, so that'll work with my Acolyte of Pain. That'll work with my Enrage characters. And 6/6 for 6. I mean, he's beefy. He's also a demon. That matters because there are a decent number of cards in this that work off of demons. Now, this is a interesting one. I like Soulfire. I mean, in a pinch, it kills something and it costs you a card. If it's the last card in your hand, then it doesn't cost you anything. I mean, a card is a lot, but I mean, then again, I mean, it also, unlike Shadow Bolt, which is 3 for 4 damage to a minion, this is 4 damage to anyone. So this can be a finishing move because, I mean, who cares if you're discarding your cards if you can kill them because of it? So, again, don't have that much direct damage other than the Mortal Coil, so we're going to beef the whole damage thing up. Okay, this is kind of interesting. I'm hoping that this isn't a sign that this has crashed. My clicks seem to do nothing. I've never actually had one of these things crash in the middle of the draft section before. I hope that it... I'm not entirely sure how it recovers from that. I guess we may find out. Or I may just be starting this entire thing over. That, I suppose, is possible. Either that or the game really does not want me to have this Soulfire. And we're back. Apologize for that delay. I guess there was a 2-hour-long scheduled maintenance going on, and that pretty much just disconnected me. On the bright side, it appears that the Hearthstone engine actually drops me right back into the middle of the arena run, even though their server went down right as I was clicking on something. So good on Blizzard for that. That's actually quite good. So kind of getting back into the swing of things here. Soulfire. Hey, good to see it actually working. Okay, so we've got a secret. Not going to work. Well, this is just really obvious because I hate this pirate. We have no secrets, so we're going to take the other guy because he's there. Interesting choice. Corruption is kind of the Warlock's ability to kill anything. Most of the classes have a kill anything spell. The problem with this particular kill anything spell is that it's telegraphed. Like they know that the thing that you're going to kill is going to die, so most of the time that gives them the opportunity to sacrifice it to their advantage. So that oftentimes really makes this not work very well. I mean, it's cheap, so I guess you could use it really early in the game to kill something where they won't really have much of an opportunity to do anything special with it. But at that point, I'm asking why you wouldn't just why wouldn't you rather have any damage spell or anything like that? So yeah, it's kind of a spell where what it's good at doing, it's not actually very good at doing. So I see people play with this a lot. A lot of the times, though, it's very hit or miss. I honestly don't like corruption very much. I'd be very tempted to take another Dread Infernal, but as I was saying earlier, Warlock lives and dies by having cheap cards, and I'm pretty much at the extent of how many 5+ casting cost cards I'm going to want to have in this deck. So we're going to, unless I see something incredibly good, we're going to be skewing towards the cheaper cards. Spellbreaker, Silence, very good. Now, this is a difficult choice. These are two of the best one casting cost creatures that you can get in a Warlock deck. The Voodoo Doctor, because that 2 health typically becomes another card later, and he's a 2/1. So great stats, and it is almost like, if you think about, a lot of times people will take the Novice Engineer as a 1/2 for 2 just because it lets you draw a card. As a Warlock, the Voodoo Doctor is almost a better option than the Novice Engineer. But on the flip side, the Blood Imp is just incredibly good. That plus, he's so cheap. The stealth, the point of this card is that you don't typically ever attack with him. He just sits out there and just makes all of your other cheap minions that much better, and is really, really hard to remove on his own. They've got to use some sort of area effect damage spell. There's no other way around it. In this case, I'm going to take the Blood Imp because I really like that +1 health benefit. Okay. Going to go with the Berserker. Again, I like Enrage. Not a big fan of the Cold Light Oracle outside of a Murloc deck. I've mentioned in past drafts, it just doesn't help you that much when the stats aren't good enough for a 3 cost where the draw effect is basically mirrored. Mana Wraith, I don't like Mana Wraith. So Demolisher is pretty good. Okay. Voodoo Doctor. Yeah, I like Voodoo Doctor. We're going to take him. And nice. Okay, now this is an interesting choice for a Warlock. Molten Giant is actually probably one of the... its ability is more likely to be useful in a Warlock deck because you flat out can. I mean, you will take damage. I mean, you'll be killing yourself slowly to gain advantage during the game. So it's not necessarily reliant upon you getting hit for a ton of damage by your opponent. It's more like, you're probably going to be able to cast him for like 4 or 5 mana by halfway through the game anyways. Twisting Nether, though, I mean, this is a great just get out of jail free card. I mean, it's the wrath of God of this game. It's just so, I mean, it's just so final. It answers anything. If you fall behind, this is the spell that will catch you back up. I think we're gonna have to take the Twisting Nether because Molten Giant, great guy, but I mean he's still an 8/8. He doesn't have taunt. He's just a big target to get killed by just about anything else in the game, and you honestly don't necessarily get to play him when you want to play him. Twisting Nether fills in a void. It's the kind of thing that can sometimes just win you the game. Okay. I like Soulfire. I like having that extra damage. I do like Dread Infernal. No, we're too many expensive spells. We're gonna try to get some cheaper stuff here. Okay, now Sense Demons. This is basically the Arcane Intellect, the draw 2 cards spell for Warlocks. Drawback is you've got to have demons in your deck for it to really be useful. On the bright side, we have been drafting demons. I mean, we have enough demons that I don't feel like it's gonna miss. Honestly, if you need to draw a demon from this and you don't have enough demons in your deck, it still gives you just like a crappy. I think it's like a 1/1 imp or something like that. It just makes up like a token demon that costs like 1 mana. So it's. I've always been. I had seen that come up in a game, and I was kind of curious about it, and then that happened. I'm like, oh well, that's actually pretty good that it doesn't just screw you. Okay, Blood Imps. Now these guys become way more powerful when they stack up because then they start boosting each other, and then you get to the point where every single guy you have is like +2 health, and then that starts becoming an important thing. So I love Ironbeak Owl, but in this case, also increase the demon count, more of a chance to really take advantage of the Sense Demons ability. Well, definitely like card draw. Not the biggest fan of the Gnomish Inventor because I think it's a little bit overcosted for what it does, or at the very least, I think it's just on the edge of being efficient, but not. It's like it's one of those cards where it's efficient enough to play in draft, but it's not efficient enough that you would likely see it show up in like a constructed deck. But in this case, yeah. Whew. Now this is an interesting choice. I feel like it's overkill to get 2 Twisting Nethers. You're probably not going to need both of them during the game, and if you ever draw both of them into your hand, that's not a good thing. Bane of Doom is fun. I mean, you can get all sorts of random things from it. I mean, you can. I think the worst. I think you can get a Blood Imp. I think that's the worst thing you can possibly get from it. Which, honestly, if that's the worst thing, it's not bad. I mean, you can get a Succubus from it. I think you can even get like a Felguard or an Infernal from it. I mean, it's a random card, but it's damage, so it probably kills something, and you get something. So. I don't really care if that thing that you get is random because it's better than nothing. Okay, Questing Adventure, great spell for Warlocks. Great for most classes, but Warlocks tend to play a lot more cheaper spells. Power Overwhelming. I like this card, but I don't necessarily like it in this deck. I need to see because like really what you it's a way to basically trade one of your cheap crappy guys for one of their huge guys. Biggest problem with that is it gives you, I mean, it's a 2-for-1 because you're using the Power Overwhelming plus you're using one of your other guys in order to make this work. I mean, the Swamp Ooze is pretty solid because, I mean, 3/2 for 2, great card, and destroying a weapon. I mean, that can be a game winner right there in the right circumstance, where you take out a weapon that you otherwise would just give them too much advantage. Looking. I'm gonna go with the Swamp Ooze. I feel like trying to make sure I've got my creature count up. Again, no weapons in this deck. Don't care about Sacrificial Pack. Here's more silence. Okay, now this is another interesting decision, because Doomguard, I mean, as I mentioned earlier, it's really good. Just really good. The stats on it and with charge, I mean, it's crazy. It jumps into play, it will kill something, and it will then probably survive to kill something else. It may survive to kill multiple other things. But, I mean, the 2 random cards really makes it rough to play it on turn 5. Or at the very least, like, if you play it on turn 5 and they've got an answer for it, like, an Assassinator or something along those lines, or a Polymorph or a Hex, then, they just got a pretty good advantage over you for being able to do that. That said, though, I mean, sometimes you just have to be able to take a little bit of a risk. Okay, now this is... I like the number of legendaries I've gotten so far this draft. Let's see. Copy a minion. I like it to an extent. A lot of times, I really like taking Faceless Manipulator if you have another... I mean, because like you can't always guarantee what it is that your opponent is going to have, or that they're going to have something worth manipulating or copying. But if you have guys that you would love to copy in your deck, then that becomes really good. Like Faceless Manipulator becoming a Doomguard is fantastic. One thing about the whole manipulator thing is the battle cry does not trigger twice. So if you copy a battle cry that's negative, then you get the stats and you get the abilities, but you don't trigger the battle cry again. So if you copy a Doomguard, then he's a 5/7 charge, but you don't have to discard the cards, which is ludicrous. I mean, it's so good. I think we're gonna go for that, because I'm predicting there'll be at least one game where that's actually going to that actually might come into play. Okay, let's move on into the first game and see how we go. I'm feeling pretty confident in this deck. I look at the mana on it. I think that we've got enough cheap cards that we will be able to get the game to, go about halfway. We'll probably be okay up to turn 5, turn 6. At which point we've got some heftier guys that we can start dropping down. And one good thing with the Warlock, I mean, is I didn't necessarily draft that many card draw cards like I would go for with other heroes, but I'm counting upon that hero ability to basically fill in the blank. However, this is not the kind of opening hand that I even remotely would want, except maybe the Bane of Doom. Okay, we're going to keep the Bane of Doom because I'm hoping that by turn 5, I'll have drawn other things that I can use, and then the Bane will kill something and give me a demon. So I feel like it'd be worth. Okay, not the best hand for going first, but getting something I can actually play on turn 1 improves it a bit. So we're not. I'm hoping that he doesn't have a really fast start. If he doesn't have a fast start on his end, then turn 2 I draw a card. Turn 3 I sense demons, and we're pretty much in business. Now I'm not going to be attacking him with the Blood Imp because I find him to be more useful simply drawing me, or basically just giving that health bonus and forcing him to have to. I don't know. I'm trying to think. I guess he would probably have to use either a multi-shot or a explosive trap to kill it. Yeah, I mean, their hunters don't have that many options for killing a. Hey, well, that's not too bad. We're gonna get the Demolisher out this turn. I mean, the other option would be to get the Twilight Drake or just hold cards in my hand and get the Twilight Drake going, or take Sense Demons to get more cards into my hand and then make the Twilight Drake even bigger next turn. Of course, getting an active Demolisher going is really, really effective because it just starts killing stuff every turn. So yeah, we're gonna go with that. I don't want to fall. I don't want to give him too many free hits on me, and I mean, if he's got a silence or something, which is he probably does, then it's not going to matter if the Twilight Drake is a 6/6 or a 9/9. He's going to answer it all the same. Okay. So in this instance, we could get the Twilight Drake out. Not as much a fan of that. I'm just going to trade for his ooze and get another card, and then we'll worry about getting the Twilight Drake out next turn. Okay. A Mortal Coil will be good against his Infiltrator here in a second. Actually, almost tempted to maybe stall just one more turn and try to make the Drake even bigger, but no, I think we're gonna do that, and then I can. So I'm gonna Soulfire this, hope it discards anything other than Mortal Coil, and then I can finish it off with Mortal Coil. No, we're not gonna do that. I changed my mind. We'll save it. This is an instance where maximizing mana. It's like I don't really want to trade 3 cards and draw a card, but to kill 1 unit. I mean, that just... He really wants to keep that guy in stealth. That's actually kind of interesting to me that he seems to want to do that so much. Well, we have a few options. One would be to silence his golem and then drop my Iron for Grizzly. I think we're going to actually do that. I mean, he could have another multi-shot. If he does, if he's got multi-shot, and the stupid deadly shot, then and he drew them all in his first 10 cards, then I guess more power to him. I will grant that he's got a very good Hunter draft deck to have that much cheap removal. So River Crocodilus is going to get baned to death, almost certainly. Or, sorry, not River Crocodilus. I don't know what I was saying. The Starving Buzzard. I need to make the Starving Buzzard go away. That Starving Buzzard is the key to Hunter card draw in draft. That's unlike in Constructed, where now that was an interesting choice. I feel that he may come to regret that. We will see. So we Bane of Doom the Buzzard and cross our fingers. Let's get something good. Not so much. And then yeah, we'll cycle that thing off its Mortal Coil. And I'm still gonna save that Soulfire for now. You know, it's I'm looking at my hand and I'm thinking, you know, I almost would rather use the Doom card. I'm tempted to let him play a bunch of stuff out, Twisting Nether, and then go from there. But we'll have to see how he responds. Now, this actually provides me with an interesting circumstance because I can Twisting Nether, kill everything out there, and then next turn I'll have 9 mana. I Summoning Portal leaves me with 5, but then all the other minions cost 2 less. I can actually get the Raid Leader and the Doomguard out because he'll cost 1, he'll cost 4, and that will be very, very effective, I think. I mean, yeah, I'll lose the Soulfire and the Sense Demons potentially, but I feel that he is going to have a harder time answering this than. Okay, so here we go. Summoning Portal, check. Oh, 3 and 1 and 1. Yeah, let's go for it. Swamp Ooze, Raid Leader, Doomguard. And say la vie to those cards, but I don't care. Kill that thing. Now, if he was a mage, he would Flame Strike right now. But as a hunter, he doesn't have quite as many options unless there's some really ridiculous hunter super AE spell that I've never heard of. That to me is kind of a funny silence, because I have so much mana right now that it almost doesn't even matter that that mana it's not like it's probably going to end up doing a whole lot. I wish he had not gotten another Starving Buzzard, though. Hunter's Mark? He's definitely got a Hunter's Mark. I don't know if he's going to play it. It's the only spell he could be even clicking on, though. And that's actually an interesting thing. I have seen that happen before. I don't know why it happens. I think it's a glitch with Hunter's Mark, to be honest. It is the strangest thing. I almost feel bad that happened to him, but no, I don't really feel bad that happened to him. Got enough. Didn't hit the mark. That's funny. Let's see. Well, we're definitely going to trade this here. I don't want to leave him with either of these things on the table, and then we'll get the big old guy out with stealth. So that almost guarantees that it should be able to kill anything it's either going to start hitting him for a lot, or it can kill anything he plays. He really got screwed by the Hunter's Mark, though. I've had that happen to me before. I don't know what causes it. I wish I did. I mean, I've sometimes thought that maybe there's some sort of like plus health effect or something like that prevents it from working. But no, I mean, it just... hey, look, he did have another multi-shot. How... Oh. That is kind of funny. Let's see what we draw. This is a great time where I would totally love it if the Blood Imp gave just a little bit more of a bonus than it does. Now, Faceless Manipulator. I am greatly considering copying his Lion and then killing his Lion, because I really don't want to... Yeah. Get the Blood Imp put out there.
Problem solved.
Let's see. He could hit me for 6 next turn. Trying to think, can a Hunter... Is there any way a Hunter can do like +8 or +6 damage? He can't really double the attack. And I'd have 7... he'd be at 22, and then I'd have 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. Okay, we're not going to take the chance then. If I could put him in a situation where he'd have to trade his lion for one of my guys in order to survive one more turn, then that'd be one thing. But since he knows that he's got at least 2 turns before I would die, then I certainly don't want to take the risk on that. No, that was unfortunate. That was, I'm pretty sure, the 2 cards that he would have needed. I mean, to be able to boost that much damage in a turn. I mean, I was saying I didn't think he had enough to. I didn't think there was any way he could do another 6 damage to me in the turn, but he had a way to do another 5 damage, definitely. Let's see. Is there any way out of this? He's at 29. I'm going to die to a steady shot no matter what. I can't draw a card. Yeah, I mean, if at this point, if I had enough life to survive one more turn, I might stand a chance because I could hit him or I could wipe his board and then hit him a couple times. But I mean, that's going to be the end of it. That was a good play on his part. Well, I have a feeling that guy is probably going to go pretty far with that particular deck. I mean, multiple Starving Buzzards, multiple multi-shots, deadly shots, silence effects. He drafted basically the draft Hunter deck that you usually don't want to run into, but that in a perfect world, every person who's doing this draft picks Hunter in the hopes that they get. Because, I mean, the Hunter's laundry list of basically common cards that are completely ridiculously powerful in draft is just like almost every single common card that they have. So from a balance perspective, I don't necessarily think that Hunters are the best class in the normal game, but I do think that they are currently the best class in draft. And it's simply because they tend to get like where, you know, I'm stuck taking like Soul Fires. Like, I mean, like other classes, you usually end up getting picks where you end up getting a card that's not particularly exciting. With a Hunter, I mean, if you look at every single card that he played that game, I don't think there's a single card that he had that entire game where it was like that wasn't like, you know, a really, really effective, efficient card. It's like, no, he pretty much played every single card he drew, and every single card he drew was like just an ass beater. So, well, that is Warlock Part 1. I'll be continuing on and hopefully have a bit better luck in the next game. So, see you later.